Hello, welcome back to Why So City, a nerd podcast. We're coming at you today with another comic book review. We're kind of taking a step back on our road to Devil's Reign, taking a little detour, unofficial detour, to Charles Soule's Volume 3. It's Daredevil Back in Black, Volume 3, Dark Art. Charles Soule took place before Zdarsky, and it's kind of on the road to Devil's Reign because Charles Soule's arc is what led to Mayor Fisk. So it is a detour, so let's do it. This is also the introduction of Muse, big reason there. We saw him in Born Again. We're going to go full spoilers on Born Again, full spoilers on this comic, so be warned. We are at Why So Cityus Pod, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, live on YouTube right now. We're with David here. Caleb is on paid leave. He's on paid leave. But yeah, he'll be back there. Andy from the Galactic Core podcast will be on our show to cover the finale of Daredevil Born Again. We've done a bunch of episodes with Andy, so we're excited about that. Really excited for this finale. Yeah, that covers it for intro talk. All right, so before, let's break the ice here with a poll that's kind of new, but we're going to throw a little spin on it and rank these 4 movies. The poll only has 11 votes. It was posted an hour ago. But what is the best movie out of these 4? The Suicide Squad by James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And so we have 11 votes. So far, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the best movie. By far, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is a close second, actually, so I shouldn't have said by far. But then Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Suicide Squad are well placed in last. So how would you rank these movies?
Those 4 right there, man. Yeah, I mean, I probably would put Volume 3 at the top spot, Volume 1 at the second spot. That's tough for me because I really like Volume 2 more than a lot of people do. I really enjoyed Suicide Squad. Dude, I think I'm going Guardians Volume 2 and then the Suicide Squad. I think I give it.
I have the same list, I think. Just imagining what I'd want to watch or what I've rewatched more. Suicide Squad's last place, but Guardians 3 is first place by far. I absolutely fell in love with that movie. He pretty much nailed all the right boxes, but
I love the Suicide Squad. Honestly, I know I put it at last, but I think it's very rewatchable. I think it's super entertaining.
Very entertaining.
I love the cast. I love Idris Elba, and oh my god, why can't I remember who plays Rick Flag now? Joel something. Good Lord, I don't know. But no. I like the main cast throughout. Obviously, Margot Robbie's great as Harley Quinn in it. I think John Cena's great as Peacemaker. Like, it's a really fun movie to watch. So I still want to give it props. But
I actually liked Harley Quinn way more in the first Suicide Squad movie. Just her, not the movie as a whole.
Better. She was more Harley Quinn in the first one for sure.
Yeah. Wildly entertaining. It's just they dropped the ball in the third act for me. It's not the best. Starro didn't work. But then again, that last fight with Peacemaker and Rick Flag worked. And that's going to play into the DCU, so that's crazy.
Yeah. There were good stuff mixed in between the kind of ridiculous third act with Starro there.
All right, let's get into the comic then. So let's just get the villain out of the way, Muse. That's pretty much why we did this. This doesn't have much to do with Mayor Fisk becoming mayor. You know, at this point, Fisk is not mayor. Yeah, how did Muse work for you?
Dude, so I really enjoyed the writing here. Muse got me right into the story. And again, so it's not my first introduction to him because he was in Born Again that we just saw. So my first time seeing Muse, I'd heard of him here and there, was Born Again. And I am very glad that I watched Born Again first. If I would have read read Muse in this run and then got the Muse that we got on screen, I would have been very disappointed because he is miles better on page to me. Way more complex. He gets more time to have like monologues that are meaningful and you can kind of get more of a sense of what is going on in this dude's mind. But he's also just way more creepy and intimidating too. I think he's a really solid, super unique character, and we don't get a lot of serial killer characters in superhero comics that much. I mean, I know we have Carnage, and I know most villains kill a ton of people, so they're technically serial killer villains, but not in this sense. So I really enjoyed Muse, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was cool. Way more layers here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
With who he is, what he is. He was also kind of funny. He was really casual in this conversations. Like, he really just wanted Daredevil to appreciate his art. Like, yeah. And he would be super casual while being such a badass, like catching the baton, like, oh, so you didn't like my art. Breaking that baton, smashing it, and saying, I'll just do better next time. Like, that made him pretty compelling, on top of being scary. So he was a villain of a very contrasting nature.
Straight up. I like that too, though. Like you said, he almost had like kind of Joker vibes. I forgot who else he kind of reminded me of. I thought I took a note about that. I guess
Deadpool?
I guess I did.
Nah,
yeah,
I mean, not
it was
quite
a
as
little bit though,
toned down
but
to like 4, 2.
right. But he's got that sense of humor there, and I could have swore I took a note and wrote it down, but I know it was partially compared to the Joker. He had those aspects to it, and the way he's just genuinely messing with the hero, but you can tell he's kind of like sincere when he's saying like, seriously, how's the art? You know, he's putting a lot of passion into this. He's a very passionate villain, and boy, has he killed a lot. Matt smelled the painting and said he was able to pick up roughly 115 different bloods. Just like,
yeah,
oh my god, okay,
which is crazy. And they play into the art, playing with Daredevil's plot powers a lot, which they didn't do at all in the show. I wanted them to play with that for the purpose of the powers, which we'll get into, but also just for the political standpoint. Like, I really wish his art made more of a statement in the show, played more of a role politically, like as mayor with Fisk, and kind of speaking on that duality of character that this whole show is kind of the theme of. You know, anything, but there was no depth to him in the show. But my point was, back in the comic, like, they played with it as in, because I guess Daredevil can't see art unless he touches it, and I don't know if that's accurate to the show and the comics or what, but it was like he couldn't depict this art because if he touched it, he's now touching a crime scene. So he's putting his fingerprints on it. So there was like, you know, kind of a tricky situation there that was really fun to play with. Also confusing as far as Daredevil, his powers go, but it did bring an interesting aspect, which again, none of that played into the show.
No, not at all. It was a very shallow rendition on the show. Like we said, it was rushed. They didn't do a lot of time to set up anything. It kind of just jumps straight to the ending there with the character.
Yeah, and again, for spoilers, but when we get to Volume 6, it's titled Mayor Fisk and Soul's Run, he just dies. So, like, he doesn't play a big role in there either. So when you say you'd be disappointed after reading the comics, I think part of that is, like, he was so abruptly killed, right, in the show. But then again, that's how it happened in the comics, and he played very little role. So, yeah, that's why I said it on the pod before. I totally fault the Marvel, I guess, creators for just wasting a villain like that. But the show can't be blamed because I guess that's just the source material. He just dies real quick.
Straight up. And yeah, because with this, he doesn't die in this run. So you get this 5-issue thing of like, oh, this is a super interesting character. And he's still out there. He's still alive, you know, unfortunately. I guess he just gets killed later without ever being used, which is very weird. But yeah, I thought there's a lot to dive into there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What did you think of this Blind Spot? Because we went into this. I have never personally read Volume 1 or 2, so I still don't really know where he came from. But
okay,
you can kind of connect some dots. But how did you feel? You know, you don't know this guy, but he was pretty significant in this one. Cool design too, I think.
Yeah, and I forget what his power was. He disappears or something.
Invisibility.
Yeah, I know. That's the name for blind spot, I guess. Yeah, I guess that was it. He just kind of Sue storms and disappears. Interesting. Kind of gave me some Dick Grayson vibes here and there. You know, a couple other sidekick vibes going on there. It wasn't bad. He didn't like really elevate the story much for me. I'm trying to remember. I feel like he only had a couple major roles after that kind of intro for the rest of the runs. Like he chases Muse down in the sewers.
Then he gets his
he runs out of batteries.
Oh, yeah.
But he had like the tool to trick Muse or something, and it ran out of batteries, and that's I think how he ended up getting caught by Muse. And then Muse just rips Homeboy's eyes out. So blind spot's got a double meaning now.
Yeah.
He can't see. And I think Muse made a joke about that actually. I think he said, "You see it, don't you? Blind spot." After he takes his eyes out, and it was like, okay, that is Joker level of like taunting, but yeah, he was fine overall. I don't know. You said you never really see him in anything else outside of this?
No, it's almost like not getting the Thunderbolts announcement that Ghost is going to be in Doomsday. Because I have not read Volume 4, and then I read Volume 6. Because I read Volume 6 of Mayor Fisk, and he's not in that one, so I don't think he makes it.
Fair enough.
And I haven't seen him in anything else, so yeah, his fate is much like Muse.
Yeah, fair enough.
At least someone's coming into this comic at like, there's so rarely permanent deaths. It's kind of annoying that, especially Muse being a really cool character, died so soon. But at least like Soul Charles Soule brought a couple of decent characters in, one being an awesome villain and, had the balls to kill someone off personally, but at the same time, you want to stick them around. Don't kill everyone off permanently, but stick them around all the time. Keep them here. Kill them permanently, but keep them here.
Please. Yes. Figure it out.
So, yeah. And then also, I guess I also read Volume 5 right before that, which is more lawyer-oriented. And it made me realize that I think that's his Volume 5 and 6's climax was his best work, because this is just okay, really. I think Muse is absolutely the standout. He is just like a really cool character. It's really fun to explore a new character. And that was definitely the best part. He was sadistic. So, I mean, you kept getting captured by just this sadistic gore, and I don't know, it was scary. It was kind of had a horror feel to it, but yeah, he was the standout. Overall, this comic, not much going on. Didn't push anything forward with Fisk or much of an overall story. I think Soule kills it in the writing the lawyer stuff. So when I read that, Volume 5 and 6, higher quality, dude. Charles Soule,
yeah? Okay.
He was a lawyer, I guess, before he wrote comics. I think so.
Well, that would help. That would definitely help and make sense why you'd want to write some Daredevil stuff. But yeah, we didn't get any trial stuff. I think the only time we were in a courtroom was when Muse held up a courtroom. I think he broke into the courthouse there. But yeah, we didn't get a lot of stuff. We didn't get Matt wrestling with his faith. We didn't get anything outside of Muse as far as stories being pushed forward. We did have a hell of a lot of characters pop up that we see in Born Again. Benjamin Hochberg, the Hawk. He's Matt's boss in this, but he was his opponent in the show during the Hector Ayala case. Kirsten McDuffie is mentioned in this too, who's his assistant or partner or something at his new firm in the show. You know, we saw a lot of people that were in both the show and the issue there.
And I guess the last big topic there is he had to go visit Inhumans. What a random...
That's the other thing.
Appearance there. It was really cool. It was kind of in a weird era where it was like Inhumans versus X-Men, and their Terrigen Mist were killing mutants, so there was they were pretty prominent in Marvel Universe at that time, and it was just so weird, seeing Daredevil cross paths with someone on that power level. But that made me... I thought Muse was an Inhuman. I guess that was just my mind working that way.
That's what I took my notes too, though, because he does have a power. He has the sensory deprivation type deal where they say he's like a sensory black hole. Daredevil has a hard time honing in on him. He can't really see him. He keeps saying like the senses are off. He can't feel Muse. So Muse has some type of ability, and I thought they hinted it because he takes his mask off. He takes his mask off at the end, and his face is like white, deformed with blood pool red eyes, but like with no actual like normal human eyeballs. Like it's just a pool of red and black, and his face was a mess. And it kind of reminded me of one of the other Inhumans we saw running away in issue 11, I think. Some dude with his blue swollen face, and it turns out he was affected by the Terrigen Cloud that went out and affected all these people. So I still think Muse, I think it's very possible that he was affected by the Terrigen Mist, and that's his face and his sensory deprivation powers. I don't know. But
all right.
I was on that page too.
Now, since this is comic oriented, let's dive back into we're going to a little bit into Born Again. So, because we have a little more information on Vanessa. So real quick, since that whole life and death of Foggy Nelson thing was potentially an Easter egg. I mean, it had the address number of that specific issue in that comic. Vanessa was heavily involved in the fake death and his life and his protective custody. She was like directly involved in all that in the comics. So now, do you think Foggy Nelson is still dead or not?
I don't think he's dead.
Okay.
I was actually, honestly, weirdly enough, I think I had a dream. I think I had a dream about it because as I was watching the episode, I started like remembering something like, well, yeah, they're kind of leaning towards Foggy's faking his death. And then I finished the whole episode and was like, what is that memory from? I legitimately think I had a dream that I watched an episode that showed Foggy coming back to life in that show. Then I watched the show and then got to the end. I was like, I didn't see any part of that scene that I was thinking of. So I don't know. I think I dreamt he comes back alive, but I think he definitely is going to be revealed to be back.
Yeah, and it's full spoilers for episode 8, by the way. Is that the one we just watched that we're about to cover? So yeah, So apparently Vanessa called the hit on Foggy originally.
Yeah.
And do you think she's the one that let Bullseye out of her? What happened? Someone tried to get him executed. That was Kingpin or Vanessa?
I think it was Vanessa. I think she switched him into Gen Pop from his protected custody. Even though I think Kingpin says that he did it at one point, in the episode. But it makes sense if it's Vanessa. She's trying to cover her tracks.
And was that to make sure he died or to get him out of jail?
To make sure he died, because Buck got the call and he said, okay,
that's right.
Is he dead? And they're like, no, he just escaped. He's like,
so that was
God.
Fisk. That was probably Fisk.
Yeah, because it was Buck, unless Buck is secretly working for Vanessa too.
But why would Kingpin want him dead? Vanessa's the one that would want him dead to cover the evidence.
Exactly.
So it's crazy, dude.
I'm not sure.
And how would she benefit from killing Foggy? Did she want to bring the dark side out of Daredevil so he would murder Fisk? Because she could have murdered him at any given point. I mean, she had the choice. She had the chance here. She had a gun in her hand, so that's probably not true.
Maybe she... I don't know. Maybe she was in on the plan of faking his death, and Foggy somehow got to her. I don't know. That'd be a whole wormhole to dive into. But we only have one episode left, so I think this plot's spilling over into next season regardless.
Yeah, for sure. And that reminds me, and back to the comic, he wears that black Daredevil suit here with the red DD. So that's not really exclusive to Shadowland.
No, yeah. He's rocking it in this, and it looks dope. Which, by the way, I like the art. It wasn't my top favorite, but it was really good.
It was comic-y. It was like comic-y, almost cartoony, but usually that bugs me. But this was fine. Yeah, it was pretty solid.
In a serious way, though. It didn't feel like it was kind of like
exactly
childish type of fun, comic cartoonish look. But no, I really liked it, and I loved that suit. The black and red just looks so clean.
Yeah, it's just so funny. It's titled Born Again, the show. Everything influenced is Charles Soule and Zdarsky's run, including this suit. So far. Which I totally forgot about. So he could be wearing that suit, Shadowland, the hand, him going rogue. That could all be completely void. It could still just be this Soule and Zdarsky stuff.
Straight up.
In Zdarsky, he even puts back on the Netflix black one.
Dude, I freaking love it.
So over the eyes.
The ninja look.
So anyway, overall thoughts. Did you, give it a out of 10 rating?
Yeah, so, and sorry, real quick, we didn't get a background as to why Muse wasn't even that crazy of a fighter in this, right? Like, was he? He wasn't really throwing. I think he was getting his ass whipped most of the time,
but he would catch a baton that was thrown at him. Yes. He had reflexes. So could be something with the sensory.
But there was no explanation there, right?
Right.
They didn't try to say he took Taekwondo lessons as a kid or some ridiculous explanation like that. Oh, sorry. And before I give my overall thoughts, one of the coolest parts in this, you talked about it showing Daredevil's talents. One of my favorite parts in this was he sits cross-legged. Daredevil sits cross-legged in the middle of the street because he can't hone in on Muse. He cannot find him. And so instead, he sits in the middle of the street, he blocks out everything, and he searches for a lack of sensory information, which was awesome. That was so dope. Sick. He found him in that way. I just thought that was super creative. So I wanted to shout out that one. That was cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, overall, I thought it was a good read. I think, like you said, if Muse wasn't a part of this, there was nothing really to read. But it was a really cool introduction of a very unique character that I'd be very excited for if I didn't know that he really did nothing with it. If this issue just dropped, like this whole thing just dropped, I'd be stoked on it probably a lot more because I'm like, dude, this Muse character, like, what are they going to do with this fool going forward? Mm-hmm. So that's a bit of a bummer. Overall, knowing what I know, knowing it doesn't go anywhere with Muse, all that, just as far as reading it enjoyability wise, I'd probably give it like a 7.9, 7.8, high sevens.
There you go.
Yeah. It wasn't amazing, but there was still some parts that I really like, and I enjoy the dialogue, the Charles Soule writing to it. Just wasn't.
Yeah, nothing to really sink your teeth into.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's pretty much just Muse is the only reason to read it, but in a good classic superhero versus villain kind of way.
Yeah,
in a dark,
it was
grounded,
short and sweet,
weird villain way too. So yeah, I'm right there, mid sevens. But that's pretty good for me. I mean, enough to hang on to it and keep reading it. Otherwise, I'd sell it on eBay.
Yeah, no, it's a cool enough character for an intro to hold on to that it's a cool story to refer to. It's the intro of Muse.
And an aspect I don't think we're going to see in the MCU that played a big thing into Devil's Reign. So I haven't read it, but Volume 5 is about the Purple Children, and Matt makes some kind of deal regarding his identity. It's to have everyone forget his identity. So like in Devil's Reign, it started with something that had to do with the Purple Children's powers being erased, and him remembering that Daredevil is Matt, and that's what started Devil's Reign. Like, because there was a while where he went back to not even knowing that Daredevil was Matt a lot through the Zdarsky run. So, yeah, it's really interesting. I don't see that playing in at all, but it is interesting.
Never know.
Yeah, anyways, thanks for tuning in. Little quick comic book review for you. Tune in to our Volume 2 of Zdarsky's Daredevil will be our next stop on our road to Devil's Reign. That's a solid one with Reed Richards making an appearance with a lot of philosophy talk. It's a good one, so that'll be fun to tune into. It's not going to play a lot into the MCU, not a lot of that stuff, unless the certain crime family plays into it. Anyway, check us out. We've been covering Daredevil Born Again, Week in Geeks, where we cover our nerd news, and we have a ton of other comic book reviews, and a Who is the Sentry revamped episode. So Sentry's coming out in the Thunderbolts pretty soon. Check out Who is the Sentry. It was an episode that was dropped a year ago, but the audio file is replaced and upgraded. So check it out. And thanks again. We will see you next time on Why So City as a Nerd Podcast.